Hey guys, it's Amy with Stage Right Soap. I really wish we could be together in person and just geek out and get excited for what's coming down the pipeline. But of course, due to circumstances, that's not really feasible or easy. So I at least wanted to do a video series showing what I've been working on and what I've been excited about, and hopefully share some of that excitement with you. I do know some of you have asked for more behind the scenes information on how the soap gets made or why I pick a particular color or scent or technique when I'm working on a bar that has been inspired by a show or a moment. So I'm hoping to convey some of that as well. And cold process soap also has this additional benefit of being so methodical, and you have to be so in the moment when you're making it that the rest of the world just kind of fades away. And I really use it as kind of this chill moment to just breathe and be in the moment. And I'm hoping some of that comes across as well, because everyone right now I think can use just a little bit of extra breathing room and breathing time. And having said that, if you are here for your moment of zen, which of course is how I refer to the moment when we actually cut the finished bar and see how it comes out. It's my favorite part in the whole process. It is just yummy. That's going to happen about 18 minutes in. I'll put the exact timestamp down in the comments below. If you are new to the family, welcome. This will be year 4 that we've celebrated the upcoming season with a specific series of soap that has been inspired by shows in that season. So I hope you enjoy. Again, welcome. This is going to be the first year that we are making the entire series available as a packet if you want to purchase the entire series. I will leave more information after the video on how to go about that. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, the bars are going to be ready about mid-December is what I'm shooting for, and it will be a first come first serve basis. So having said all that, let's jump into our first offering this year. So this one is inspired by J.M. Barrie's 1911 novel, which was then turned into a musical in 1954. And of course, I'm talking about the wonderfully nostalgic Peter Pan. I grew up on the Mary Martin and Cyril Richard version, which is still probably my favorite and just so close to my heart. Unfortunately, video copies of this version haven't really stood up very well to the test of time, but we do have the wonderful version by Kathy Rigby that came out not too long ago, and which is also a fabulous offering. If there's anything about the Kathy Rigby version that I don't like as much, is it's because it's missing Mysterious Lady, which is one of my favorite moments in the original Broadway version. So we are going to jump right in to making Into the Stars. And this particular one is inspired by the flying in the galaxy and the dreamlike state that Neverland to me kind of exists in. So we're going to jump right in and show you how this got made. Once again, stay tuned to the end of the video for more information. So we are going to be doing a combination of purple and whites and just a little bit of gray. And we're going to try to create that night sky feel. Our scent tonight is called Night Violet. It's from Brambleberry. And it has the word violet in the name. So it has a little bit of floral, but it's not like overwhelmingly floral. It's just kind of this, it's kind of got this bright note to it, and it's very kind of dreamy, and I just love it. This is actually the second batch of Into the Stars that I've done. So in here we have our oils. This is a combination of bunch of oils that I've pre-mixed and put together. And in this bucket over here, we have our combination of lye and water and silk fiber and just a little bit of sodium lactate, which is a byproduct of salt, to make the bars a little bit firmer and harder and last longer. It's a really nice thing. It also means we get to unmold the bars faster, which is the best part, because waiting to unmold bars, you want to see what you created, right? So we are going to start right off. I am soaping at room temperature today. I find that just works so much better for me. Because these have been sitting for just a minute, these oils, I'm going to remix them really quickly so they're all incorporated. Beautiful. So we are going to do, or I should say I am going to do, you can follow along, I guess, in your minds, an in the pot swirl today, which is really nice because it's not as structured as some of the soaps, which means we can all kind of do it all at once. But it's really fun to cut because it gets, the swirls just go wherever they want, and you just never know what you're gonna get. This is a very different type of technique than if I post the warm flannel video I did last week, which is very layered and very time consuming because you gotta wait for the layers. This is just kind of like toss it all together and see what comes out. So now that those are mixed together, I've got my lye here. I'm gonna slowly pour my lye water in. I'm gonna try to pour it down my stick blender as much as possible, just to make sure I'm not getting any bubbles down in the batter. Now, the lye and the oil will come together and saponify, and that's what actually makes the soup. So we'll give this a quick blend to bring it together. So I want to make sure those have emulsified and they've started to bind together. And I want to keep it at a really light trace. What that means is when I pull up my stick blender here, and if I go like that on top, you can kind of see, hopefully, that batter is just laying just barely on top. It's not sinking too far in. This is just barely reaching a light trace. And we are going to get out all 3 containers. We'll move the big bucket aside for a minute. So in these 3 containers, we're gonna have 4 colors total. We're gonna have a dark blue in the big oil bucket when we're done. Not blue, purple. Dark blue in that one, light blue, a white, and a gray mica. I'm first going to take my oils and kind of divide it up. I want gray to be like the smallest part of this whole thing. I don't want it to be mostly gray. I want it to be mostly 2 colors of purple with a good strip of white in there. I think that's going to be good for me. Okay, we've got my ½ teaspoon here. This is gonna be my white over here. I start with 2 teaspoons. We will probably add more, but it's always easier to add more than to try to come back later. So this is lavender mica, and this is going to be from Nurture Soaps. And we also have this gorgeous, you'll see as I mix it, Cheshire Cat. This is also from Nurture Soap. And this is it goes between blue and purple. It's almost blue with a purple sheen. I really like it. And then this is going to be neutral gray, and it's also from Nurture Soap. All right, let's do our purples first. I think I'm gonna go the bigger bucket with the lighter mica, lavender mica. We're gonna do 2 to start with. We will honestly probably end up just dumping that whole thing in there. Again, it's easier to start small and then go big. And then this end one, if you can see him down here, we're gonna do the Cheshire Cat. And in this very small bucket right here, we're just gonna do a little bit of that gray. Okay, Okay, let's start up with our titanium dioxide right here. We're just gonna go ahead and stir it in. I am gonna stir this by hand. Make sure I get the purple off my hand really quick. I am also going to add the fragrance and stir it by hand. Again, if I need to use the stick blender, I will, but anytime I pull that out, it's going to thicken that trace more. And I didn't want to do that on this one more than necessary. Okay, that's looking like a pretty good white. Push him out of the way for just a minute. Let's go ahead and do our gray next. I'm going to add just a bit more white because I want to. And there is no one here to say no to me. Okay, so these colors all right now, they look how I want them to look. Now here's the deal. Night Violet is a very well-behaved fragrance oil. Like I said, this is the second time I've made this batch. It behaves well. It smells fabulous in the finish bar. But it does discolor just a little bit to yellow, which I actually use in this bar. It kind of ends up looking like little star specks. Probably one of the #1 ways your soap is going to go totally wrong. Fragrance oils do all sorts of crazy fun things. They can behave perfectly and beautifully like this one has, but just because it did it once last time doesn't mean it's going to do it again today. It should. It can rise, it can separate, it can accelerate, which means all of a sudden you go from thin, gorgeous trace to really thick, gloopy. Some fragrance oils do discolor to dark brown, which to me is not a flaw because some of the best smelling soaps I have will turn brown, and that's just how they're going to be, and I love it. So, but you just have to know your fragrance oils. Like if I were using a dark discoloring fragrance oils with this particular design, I would not be terribly happy because I want it to be purples and whites and grays and not a weird murky brown color. So it's getting a little thick, so I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to add fragrance oil to this and fragrance oil to this. I'm not going to add fragrance oil to the white because again it does turn a yellow, which you can mask okay with these other colors. So to start off our swirl in the pot here, I am going to pick up, let's do our Cheshire Cat. And I'm going to drop it from a high level and just swirl it and punch it in with that lavender mica. I'm going to trade off just a little bit. We're going to do some light. I'm going to try to put it in slightly different areas. Oh, picked up my paper towel there. And we're going to do some gray. And some gray. And we're going to go back in with the Cheshire. And see if I can remember where I put it last time. I don't know if I can. But it doesn't terribly matter because it's all going to be beautifully squished. So I do want to save some of my white for the top of the bar. I don't want to use it all here. So that's probably good enough on the white. We'll do a couple more splooshes of this gray, and I'm just going to save just a little bit of that gray for the top as well. And then we are going to put the rest of this Cheshire cat in there. Oops. I've got a couple of spears. Okay, I think that's good. I'm just gonna take my spatula now and do a one-time quick flip in here. I don't want to mix it together. We want the colors to blend but not become all one big weird goopy gray purple color. Okay. And we're gonna pull out our brambleberry mold. So I'll start about here, how's that? And I'm just gonna pour it. I'm not gonna move the bowl back and forth because again, this is so thin trace. It's kind of becoming medium thick trace at this point. Medium thin, I guess. But I don't want it to mix those colors together. How beautiful that is. It's so gorgeous. Give it a little tap and a wiggle. Look at it. Look at it. All right, so now we're gonna go in. We're actually gonna pause for about 5 minutes. I wanna put this white on top of that, but if I do it right now, this white is considerably thicker than this down here. Titanium dioxide tends to thicken soap. If I do it right now, it's just gonna punch through that layer, kind of like we did when we did the swirl in the pot, but I don't want that to happen. I want the white to sit on top. So we're gonna pause for about 5 minutes. I'll do some quick cleanup off to the side, and then we'll come back and put this white on top. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. You can see that soap is holding up a little bit better. I still have to be careful. So we're going to just gently spatula this on. Don't worry about it being too flat because I'm actually going to texture this. Secondary benefit to wearing gloves. Now I'm going to go with my gray, which actually, if you can see that now, isn't really gray anymore. It's kind of this mossy grayish green, which again, it did that because of the fragrance wheel, but it also works beautifully for Peter Pan. So I'm just going to kind of drizzle this on top. I don't want it to come out too gray. I'm gonna have just a little bit of leftover soap, but not too much. We'll grab a chopstick and we're gonna just kind of swirl this. There's no right or wrong to this. I just want to give it some interest and some texture up here on the top. Yeah, you can see I'm pulling through some of that purple. I actually like that on some of this. Now, my hardest part with texturing is knowing when to stop. I always see the one piece that I'm like, ooh, what about this piece? But then it all starts to look the same color. And I don't want that, so I think I'm to the point where I have to say, stop touching it. Don't touch it. Okay. This is Crafter's Choice Wholesale Supply Plus. I don't know if they still have this actually, but it's got this amazing sparkle. This is Galactic Glitter. All right, I am going to spray it with rubbing alcohol. This helps prevent something called soda ash. In theory, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There's kind of disagreements on whether or not it really does, but it certainly doesn't hurt to try. Soda ash is this, it's kind of this white film that will sometimes set up on the top of the bar. Completely harmless. Doesn't change anything about the bar except it it's just a cosmetic thing. I mean, when you spend this much time and effort to make something look gorgeous, you want to be able to see it. So, all right, we are back. It's about 24 hours later. You can see the soap has been unmolded. It's looking absolutely gorgeous. Here's the top, and then kind of from the side. Okay. And then I am going to shut up and just let you enjoy the cut. So you can see with this technique, each bar comes out very unique and different from each other. It's so much fun to cut it and see what everything looks like. There's your glitter along with your textured top. And you can see those dark purples and light purples and whites and just a little bit of that gray green in there. It smells so good. All right, welcome back. I hope that was informative and fun, and you were able to just have that moment to be in the moment. Let me know if it was too long, too short, if you want more information or less information. I want to make sure I'm making videos that are interesting and worth your time. Now, I did promise at the end of the video to give you more information on how to pre-order the entire 2021 series. Now, it is a pre-order because cold processed soap takes 6 weeks to cure. It's not a fast thing. And I want to make sure I have enough bars and batches to fit the demand and the need out there. So it's fairly straightforward. You're going to go to stagerightsoaps.com. That's stagerightsoaps with an S.com. And once you're there, head over to the Usher family page. And towards the bottom of the page, there is a pre-order form. So the offer is open to anyone. You don't actually have to be part of my Usher family. Just go ahead and fill out the form, and I will get back to you with updates and details as we get closer to the actual launch date, which is going to be about mid-December. Now, if you are part of my Usher family, first off, I love you guys dearly, miss you still. But you do get a very discounted price for the entire series. And the reason for that is because per tradition, this is already part of your Christmas present and your annual get excited for the next year present. As a thank you from me to you, because I know what goes into having to usher and what happens behind the scenes and how much you guys care about taking care of our patrons and making sure they have just the most magical experience, and that they don't really see all of the what's happening behind the operations and behind the scenes, and they're just there to be in the moment in the show. Thank you. I love you guys to pieces, you know that. So thank you for joining me today. Join me for our next video. You're not going to want to miss it, because it is going to be truly amazing.